Oh, okay. Okay, I got it. Yeah. Like okay, got it.
Satvik.
Satvik. Yeah.
Yeah.
Satvic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this word comes from Sanskrit.
Yes,
But
yes. No, I figured.
actually means mode of goodness.
Okay. All right. And so now is the movement, the whole movement from you guys, or is this
This is a name that we gave because we wanted to create it like a movement. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, no, very interesting. So yeah, the food, I see the food book. Saw it. Okay. Yes. All right. I just want to make sure I have all the. Oh, there's. Phone or laptop. All right.
You could actually check also YouTube channel. That's more popular. I think you.
Yes. No. Yeah. I clicked right on it from the website, so I have that. Yeah, and I see. I think the bringing man closer. No. The background is very helpful. And I think that it's a wonderful story, and I think a big part of it, and the big picture is like super, super important. I think we also what gets great movements off the ground is, starting with the specifics, right? So it's a matter of, it's hard to promote that, we're going to, save everybody, starting with the narrow focus, if you will. One of the great examples is, what Facebook did. Facebook has become, a global, social experience for people to interconnect. And they, had that vision at the beginning, but they started just with students at Harvard. And then they went just to students of Ivy League schools, and then just to people who went to college. And actually the fact that they started at the high level, if you will, of, I had to get my college, email address so I could join, that it elevated them in a certain way. And then, it became a platform for everybody. So I think there's, you can have that end goal. We just have to find the map of how we get there. And I think, it's a very interesting story too, from the perspective of, what your daughter is doing with, food and eating. And now we have here what we're doing with, the lighting experience, with the importance that, our body is absorbing. And there's a great, I think food is an obvious one. People know that there's an importance of you eat too much or you don't, but I don't think people really even think about the importance of light with their health, right? So let's get into it. We have probably about an hour now. We can kind of spend and going through some questions I gave. I did say I saw the website that you have up, which is very, very nice. And give some interesting information.
So that website, Laura?
Yes.
Okay, so that was actually made by me in a day and a half, because so it was a really rushed website and with no thought given. So yeah, I just wanted to.
Oh no, I think it's helpful, because what it does is it forces you to put down on paper, your brand of what you stand for. And most important, I think, is when you get to the FAQ questions, because, the first question is, is it a light or a glass panel which sees through a skylight? I think is it, just sun? That is a big question. And I think confusion, when you call it a sunroof, they immediately think it's a skylight.
Yeah.
Right. So, how, can we overcome that? I think is a big question. And are we selling, again, you're not selling real sun, you're selling actually something that is better. Right. And so I think, thinking about what it actually is, you're mimicking the sun, but only the good sun. And so, how we can talk about that, is it light or is it sun? Is another, you talked about the healing light. And we talked about the good, the good UV, right? There's an opportunity as well here, much like on the food side, the educational side of this is super, super important, of understanding, what light is. The fact that, people think, going out and well, there was it's actually kind of interesting because it's come a kind of a circle. It used to, people always thought, you go out and you get a tan and you feel really good and everything. And so, people love to get sun and do all that. And then we went through this phase of like, all sun is bad. And so as a kid, I was told never go into the sun. You slather your body in creams and hats and umbrellas. And it was like to avoid the sun at all costs. And so, it's now we're come to a better understanding of the wellness side of light. And so I think that's the opportunity to, how we explain, people, I was told to stay away from it because of the bad UV and those properties, but how we can do it in a controlling way. I did like the one of the other things that I think is also interesting about light is, what we have, the majority of our time is spent, you talked about the age of information. And what did that do? That brought us in front of screens, and these screens are light emitting. And so we are actually bathed in these, blue lights. And, I think there's an opportunity to talk about that as well. That there is, the negative side of the change that happened in the last, with this generation of that, where with these screens, we are bombarded with light in a new way at all times of the day. And that, that unhealthy light versus maybe, the counterbalance with this, natural lighting, or wellness lighting that can be important. So I think what's going to be helpful is that these individual brands can support your overall movement. I think it's hard to start with the overall movement. It's a little bit like what makes a country successful. I mean, you can go and say, how did the South Koreans, become, my father served in Korea in the army in 1950, and it was a rubble, after the war, it was in really bad shape. How did their country come to where it is today? And it was the brands. So as individual brands like Samsung and Hyundai, the success of those brands elevated the country's perception and the country's brand. And so I think here too, what will elevate your notion of wellness are these individual brands that will be able to do great things, and get out there. So let's go back and so we have let me open, where's my email. So I think in terms of, I sent you those questions, and let's know as a framework for today, we can open that and look at that. Let's see, I just open it myself. Okay. Yes. All right. So for sure, your dad, went over in great detail and, great understanding that what the founding idea was, right? Of why you're here, how you got there. The importance too of the design in this. I think, that was another one of your FAQ questions that, are you just selling lighting panels? And so I think that, no, it's the design aspect of it is really important. And I think as long-term, you might, I don't know if I should say this, but long-term, you probably are going to be just selling the lighting panels. Maybe, to be big enough, you can't design everyone's house. But short-term, I think having control and making it a part of the design so that the design and, it's not just a light, a light you might shine on yourself, but it's a part of the design is a good strategy. And so we talked about, so number 2 is, what is the biggest benefit of the brand? And so So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think, you know, obviously wellness, but is what specifically in terms of, we'll call it right now, the wellness.
For now, as much as we are ready with this product, there are two sides to it. One is physiological wellness, one is psychological wellness. Physiological
Good.
wellness means this is going to take care of your diabetes and your all physical body ailments. And when it comes to psychological, means that you don't feel you are sitting in the darkness. You are always having a feeling that you're sitting in a sunlight, like you are sitting in a foyer or you're sitting in a courtyard. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
a kind of
Which
courtyard kind of feel that it gives. Now, but we are not ready with physiological solutions yet. We are in the process of that. We are only ready with the psychological solutions yet, which means
psychological solutions actually add more to it with increasing your focus, because when you're inside, when you're living inside a circadian cycle, which is well suited with your
Yeah.
body's internal sleeping cycle, that automatically increases your focus, betters your sleep, brings you more positivity and joy. So as you might have also have read it on the website. So these are all the psychological parts to it. But like my father was mentioning, I'll let him continue.
So we are working on the bigger vision. Is actually, you can imagine that if we get the best UV, if we capture the best UV in this light of the sun, and we are able to access that best UV all the time, we would like to see a situation where on 1st of January you are diabetic, and the 31st of January, just by sitting in an office, your diabetes is gone. So this is the kind of power we would like to get the
Yeah.
research. You see, the medical light is nothing, not a magic or not something. Everything which is invented in this world already existed in some other way, in some other form. Same way, medical light is already in existence in the operation theaters and in the hospitals. They give the immunity through the lighting. They give the even laser lights, laser with the way they are treating your eyes with the laser rays. That's also
Yeah.
light.
LASIK surgery.
So, LASIK surgery.
Yes. No.
So this
Mhm.
is all light. Though nobody on this planet has yet been able to bring this medical light in the architecture form.
Mhm.
It's not something which is impossible. It is only a matter of doing more deeper research. Of course, Thomas Edison invented the bulb,
Yeah.
but we are inventing sunlight. This is first time happening on this planet that actual sunlight is coming and not an artificial bulb is coming. Of course, our light is not natural also, but it is bringing the properties of nature. It is not natural, but it is still committed to bring all the properties of natural sun. Which
Well,
bulb
not
is
all the properties, only the good ones, right?
only the good ones, of course. Yes. So I like the name Good Sun.
Mhm. Yeah. I do actually. Um, yeah, because it's not natural. But it's mimicking. After, is there, okay, so yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I think there is great value in
This second
actually
question is quite
the
important.
mental.
This second question is quite an important question. We were discussing, me and Ish, also in the office today, that actually we should market the benefit and not the product.
Mhm.
People should immediately feel, okay, for example, better sleep. If this is marketed with the what it's going to give to me, what I'm going to get out of this, if that is the core focus and not uh, making it like a commodity. Okay, these are the light panels, or these
Yeah.
are sunlight panels. So where to focus is the key point.
Yes, no, I think that's why we have to, explore all of these areas, because I think you're right. I think there is, the benefit here is, a really important, and which benefit, right? Because you have, the increasing of focus, joy, sleep, and when we get to it, it really depends on the target market, because if you're going to an office or, then the increase of focus is incredibly important.
Right.
If you go to a home, then I really want joy and I want to sleep. And so the benefit changes. And so what we always have to think of, again, it's long term, you'll be going after all of these markets. Short term, where are we going to go first? And then how do we position it? Again, you're going to talk about all of these things when you have, when someone gives you 20 minutes to look through your whole website. But, what is the message on the front page, right? What is the headline of the article that they're going to write about you? And that's what we want to, develop and really, nail down, if you will. So I think, overall, the big three in terms of the mental side is, to me, from what you've said, and let me know if there's any other big ones, but, increasing of focus, right? So you, I guess you're mentally more, with it. Obviously, you have the right lighting, you can feel that. Joy, so happiness, or is there another word of, you said joy, but
yeah, happiness is even better. Yeah.
And again, why do people go to the beach and sit out in the sun? I think they understand, they feel happy. And then the sleep rhythm. So better sleep because, you're getting the right sun at the right time. I just want to bring it up quickly because I think in the short term, the one physical thing, vitamin D, right? Because that, again, is one of your frequently asked questions. Everyone thinks sun, I need vitamin D.
Right now, we are not ready with vitamin D.
No, but you're coming at some point, I think you said it was becoming soon.
Yes.
So that would be included then within the light. Is that right?
Yes.
Because I think that'll be an exciting attribute because it's something very specific that also ties in, again, to something people know in the mind. And when you propose this, it's one of the first questions that they ask. And so I think it's natural connection that I think will strengthen the brand. And listen, it's fine that you don't have it now. It's just great to know that it's on the horizon. And I assume, it's a matter of just working it out.
Yeah.
All right. So in terms of, so I think that's good. I mean, I think in terms of the benefits and those are, I do love to clump things in three. And then, then we'll think about as we go through the brand, which may be the most important, depending again on the target, on the opportunity, and also the ability to visualize this. I do think one other thing when we talk about light, and maybe this comes to our next question, is how we define the categories. So let me write this as benefit page.
So in our bigger scheme of things, the way we shared the structure, I see these words to be wellness lighting, maybe.
Yes, I think wellness lighting is definitely good. Because obviously it goes along with other things. What I think we need, and I don't, what we do need to do is we have to visualize what that means. Okay, so the problem with when you say wellness eating, like, what does that mean? It's almost when you say wellness eating, you show a plate of what kind of foods, whether it's, obviously fresh fruits or vegetables, something comes to mind, or, you put something in the mind, right? And the funny thing is, what most people, there's a great study that says, they polled people what they felt was that the healthiest fruit. And most people said an apple, mostly because of marketing. There was if you know the story, there was an ad agency in London at the turn of the 19th century that was tasked with an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I mean, they coined that out of, lots of fruits are good for you if you ate them once a day. So because that campaign, that image, if you want to promote health, many companies use an apple. It has become a symbol of health and wellness. As of it could have been an orange, but it wasn't. Right? It is quite amazing, but it's helpful to be specific. So in terms of lighting, it's something that's difficult to see, but I do know from my schooling days that there's, the spectrum of light. How can we show this? How can we visualize, with rainbows or lighting, what it looked like, show what it would also be nice, I think, to show what, actual sunlight is and what your light is, meaning that you're going to be having only the good UV, saying it versus showing it. I think this is going to be a critical. Do you have any visuals of light spectrums or anything like that?
So right now, Laura, our product, like you said, all the UV, vitamin D, infrared, that's going to be introduced maybe 3 years from now. Right now, our product is purely aesthetic based.
Okay.
It visually looks like you are under a skylight, a real skylight, and it gives you the experience of a skylight.
Okay. Well, I think then, it doesn't have to go too deep here. I think that, but there's got to be a difference between a bulb I buy at Home Depot, shine on my face, and your bulb, that whatever the light, properties, color, but we can get into this, but I think, it's also, from my understanding, the technology of the timing of the light, right? Of what, what brightness or, comes at what time of the day. But we've got to find a way that we can, visualize it, because otherwise, then you're just talking about beautiful lighting design. And I think you're more than this. And so we need a way to show that, because otherwise, that's an interesting idea too, that if there's a way to architecturally bring in better, instead of, I've got can lights above me, that, if it's a better architectural lighting design, but my guess is, you're more than that. So how can we show that the structure, there's got to be something emitting from these lights? Maybe there's not, but there's got to, all light has color properties for one, that must have different implications.
So
one thing is that this light has a property of giving the sunlight as per the light outside in the daytime. Like in the morning time, it gives the morning light, and then it moves with the sunlight. And
right.
Real daytime. In the evening time, it gives the evening light. So there is a sensor which senses the light outside and brings the same light inside.
Right. I remember you saying that. So it's the outside. Okay. Again, you say morning light. Is there a way that we can show what that means?
Mm-hmm.
There has to be. Well, I like photography, and I always know there's, you take a picture in the morning. There's more blue. You have more red in the afternoon. It can be. It's just a different type of lighting when you're taking pictures. So I've noticed it in that sense. And so I'm guessing that there's some sort of, is it a color tonality of the sun, of the light that is impacting you?
Yes, the color as well as the intensity, both changes with
not
time.
the brightness, not the density.
Right.
Color
Yes,
and the intensity.
Okay, so color, is brightness and intensity the same thing, you think?
Yes.
Or is there?
Yeah.
Wow. This is terrific. So, we worked with a paper company, and the funny thing is about sunlight, the same thing is true when you buy office paper, and office paper is graded on it's the same thing. Well, color, well, color and brightness are the same in paper and the weight of the paper. So actually our big, and we were working with Georgia Pacific, which, was a premium type of paper, and they were, competing and trying to really reinforce why their paper was better, why people should, pay more essentially. And what we did with them is we said, well, okay, well, you can't just make a claim, right? That, they wanted to say that our paper was better, essentially, which is, that's what most companies want to do, right? They want to just say that they're better, but that's just not a believable claim. So what we said was we've got to put specifics, something, that's a tangible way for people to understand it. And so with paper, it was already graded by, color and brightness. So you have a number associated with it, 100 and over 80 kind of thing. And so we told them it was always on the package, but very small. So we put it extremely large on the package so the people could understand when they were buying their paper that it was much brighter. It was much, it was much thicker quality paper. And they became the leading paper. Sales went up, 20% the first year. They became the leading paper company in America. And it was just a radical success, as well as it forced competitors to do the same thing. So what we need here is the same exact thing. What we need to show is, what you're talking about, having the optimal light variables at the right time, throughout the day, that you're mimicking the real light outside. Again, with this color and brightness idea. And what we need to do is, showing the numbers of what it is outside and how you can, have that inside. So right now there's okay, so let me just write this over here. So,
we know what we have to do. At least one thing which we missed completely, what you're saying is something we need to create.
Yes, no, that's why we have these sessions and why, I think it's early, working with you as, in the startup entrepreneurial phase is fantastic, because I can, point you in directions. It's going to take you some time to work out these numbers, but I think it's going to be a very good investment, because we need that kind of information and data to support the side of this. Not even to support, it is to support, but it's really to explain, because otherwise it's a claim. Otherwise it's just a claim, but it's the claim in combination with these actual numbers. So what is UV?
Ultraviolet rays?
Yes.
What is it?
Well, I obviously know it means ultraviolet rays, but ultraviolet rays come from the sun. When you have a light bulb in your house, is there any UV associated with it? Or is that something that is an add-on that you would be adding on?
So there are three kinds of UVs, Laura, A, B, and C. Essentially, UVC light is detrimental for the human body. UVB light is the light which actually generates and initiates the production of vitamin D inside the human body.
Okay.
So these are the lights which usually a regular LED bulb, which you can buy off of a store, would not give you. So you will not get UV lights off of a bulb.
Right. Yeah, I figured that the ultraviolet type of light is only from the sun. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right now. But long term, you're looking at adding the UVB type of ultraviolet rays to your product that would add on the medical side, the vitamin D production.
Yes.
Okay. No, I think that, that's going to be obviously a very exciting part of this. But we also have, the other part of it. But I think if we can have the demonstration of the color and brightness numbers, and it's also, I believe, then the technology of your system you were saying, to know what the light is outside based on, it's easy data to get, and then mimic it inside based on exactly where you live, correct?
Yeah.
That's
do you want me to play one little 30-second film of just to refresh what it
Yes.
looks. Yeah.
Yes, that would be great.
Get the power to bring the sun experience inside any room.
Yeah, so this is, I just wanted to show you the visual of this, how it looks like.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, send me the link to that video too. Where do you have that?
This is at Magpie right now.
Okay. I'll do
MAGPPI.
I'll send you the link, Laura. I'll send you.
Yeah, sure. That would be great. Yeah, well, I mean, the power to bring sun to any room is a wonderful verbalization of it. I think we have to again define exactly what sun means. That it is not just the lighting design, but it's actually how you can mimic this, what mimicking the sun means. And it is then again that color and brightness, which is becoming more known. I mean, I've bought these light bulbs that I can control the lights with my phone kind of thing. And so, but of course, nobody, it's a lot of work to do that. And it's only one bulb and it doesn't do nearly what your comprehensive system can do. And I think that so here's a good question, because let's get to I think number 4 is the enemy.
Who's the enemy?
Who's the enemy? It's a good question. And I think that in some ways, I mean, here's the question. Is a skylight just as good as your brand? So if, it's not architecturally possible in most cases to have this, but if you had, say, a room with a natural skylight versus your room, is that just as good? Now, it's okay if it is, maybe it is, but is that,
yes, currently our product is actually an imitation of a skylight. Where skylights are not possible in most of the architectural spaces, let's say the high-rise buildings and all these places.
Of course, yeah.
This is possible where skylight is not possible, but gives the same effect.
Any place
so
where you have a floor on top of you, where you can't architecturally get cut out in the ceiling.
Of course. So, I mean, ideally, we should be living with a skylight all the time. We should be living outdoors in the sunlight.
Yes.
Long term, actually, it can be better than a skylight if you eliminate the bad UVs, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, long term, I mean, you don't want,
skylights cannot eliminate the bad UV. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think people understand. People love skylights. I mean, I don't think there's not except they're difficult to clean and maintain. And
difference in all the rooms when you are sitting in a skylight or without skylight, it makes huge difference to any space.
So, okay, well, no, I mean, so the enemy isn't the skylight. Actually, I mean, I think the ability to, I mean, skylight is a good concept because it connects to something in the mind. So who's
the enemy?
Lighting is traditional light bulbs are also not our enemy, because if you think wherever you do get a natural real skylight, you don't eliminate the use of LEDs in that space. And so in the night, we don't recommend our light to be lit. We recommend it to be as a natural sky does, which is to be dim and warm, right? So that will definitely not eliminate the use of any other regular light. But so LEDs are not our enemy. Skylight is not our enemy or competitor. I don't believe we have any competition or an enemy.
Well, well, I mean, maybe it is darkness. You know, there's screen. Well, I mean, what you said about actually your lights are never off is interesting, because many people think that being in the absolute darkness is, I mean, I've tried to achieve that in many rooms of my house with these shades that go down and make it absolutely dark because I think I'm going to sleep better. And you know, maybe that's not true. Maybe darkness is not ideal. Maybe we were never meant to be in absolute darkness, particularly darkness with a bright screen being in our face. That I think that could be, in particular, a good visual example of, I mean, when you think about, you know, what my kid usually looks like is he's sitting in his bed in the absolute darkness with you know, an Xbox screen or a phone screen in his face, you know, illuminating him. I mean, you know, I think to think in that sense, to me feels like an absolute enemy. And not only that, of the opposite of wellness light, I think is perhaps this computer light that we are fighting against, you know, in our daily lives, that you know, because I just, there's something very interesting in the fact that it is never absolutely dark outside. Actually, you know, that's what strikes people when they go to remote areas, how bright it is at night because of the stars. Which are usually, you know, in a city, you can't see them, but it's actually pretty bright out in actual nature. What about, so when you talk about, and I think this is another thing to go with, as you look at, there's maybe three things that you want to kind of get the data and numbers that we can show in a way of what natural sunlight is in terms of the color and the brightness, and how that, you know, ebbs and flows during the day.
So Laura, just to make things a little clearer till this point. Basically, we are thinking of this whole project or this whole business as, let's say, the product right now is one brand.
Yeah.
Possibly cannot, like you always say, do everything under the same brand, right? So our
Yes.
current product is specifically aesthetic driven. And this regionally could do very, very well in India, because India is a country where whatever you see and whatever looks good sells like cakes. So it could do really well in India. And if you introduced wellness lighting in India, which is vitamin D, vitamin B12, diabetes, people will not respect it as much. But business opportunity for just the aesthetical part is huge in India. At the same time, aesthetical skylight in the US could not do as wonderfully as in India. And we need another hook, which is the physical health hook, which is vitamin D or UVB lights. So what me and my father were talking about just the other day was how we can actually create two different brands for this category of this new category of lighting. So one brand could be a more physical health driven brand, which will do well in the States or even in Europe and places like Denmark, where you don't get sunlight 6 months a year. And another brand could be just in India, which sells just aesthetic lights, which look like a skylight?
We can talk about that. I'm concerned about trying to have two totally separate brands. I assume you're, meaning, separate in names. I mean, at this point, as a young company, that's generally not advisable. I think, as we get into it more, it's also going to depend on the timing, meaning you don't have the medical side ready yet now anyway. So, that coming later, will give us time to sort of, you don't need to make that decision right now. But I'd rather see one brand that could support the many aspects that would be great is if it does launch, if it, as it, develops and builds in India. I think the success in India will be a fantastic driver to bring it into America and into Europe, and to more heavily in those markets promote the health aspects. Because think about, what's different when you promote it within India. India is a very wellness focused society compared to many other places. And actually we as a country, India is known for, being the home of medicine, right? That where it was, founded. And, the Ayurvedic and many of these, great histories. So we would, naturally, there's a connection when you say, wellness in India. You don't have that same thing if you're a Polish company, right? If you're from Poland, maybe sausages would be good, but not, health and wellness. So we're going to have what we always say when launching a global brand is you do want to establish your strength and leadership in your home country. Because I think, where a brand is from is incredibly important. And I think it's fantastic that this is from India. I think it makes an enormous, it adds tremendously to your credibility and authenticity in wellness. And so I think that is going to be a great driver. And I think you can have a brand that does have both of these attributes. And again, you'll focus more as you, start off in India on the aesthetics, and then, transition as we communicate it to the rest of the world in a slightly different way, emphasizing, the physical. But I do think that, the mental side will be incredibly important as well. And I think, again, the enemy being that of darkness and computer light. And what I was going to say is that I think in terms of, looking at, we've got to be able to visualize these differences. And there's kind of three different areas. One is, then maybe four actually. So you've got real sunlight. Okay. So what are the numbers on real sunlight of what color and brightness and how that looks outside with a natural light? That would be the same as if you had a skylight in every room in your house. Second is how your lights function. So, obviously you're going to make the correlation to and be able to show then with the numbers how they're exactly or very similar, mimicking those numbers of the natural sunlight, without actually the harmful UVs, which is a benefit. And then we've got two more areas. I think that, what is a person experiencing with their traditional lighting system? So you've got, you can pick, you can pick you can pick multiple things to track, but, something generic and average in terms of, combination of LEDs and incandescent lights of what someone would experience during the day in terms of those colors and brightness. And, that will be a fantastic contrast because people, they're not really aware. And they're not aware that, I'm sitting in bright light all day and I dim it at night. Why isn't that as good as the sun? You can say it, but you've got to have some sort of way to visualize it and show with the numbers. Now, the other thing I think would be equally as important, again, is my analogy of what my son generally looks like. in a dark room in front of screens. And because many people don't turn on the lights, and they are in the darkness with these computer screens in their face. So what is that light like? Just as a general consumer, they're trying to tell me blue light is bad, and they're trying to sell me glasses that block the blue light. And my computer says I'm going to turn off the blue light at night. And so there's an understanding that, so what, those light numbers. And I think we can show then very clearly and again, I know that, India 6, it's still having this, it's very important that there's meaning behind it. So that, there's it, because it's, not just, you could have aesthetics with an off switch, but your light is actually changing color and brightness in a systematic way. And so that's the element that even in India, I think is going to be incredibly important, because that's leading to your mental wellness, the focus, your better sleep and happiness. And so we can make that connection in those ways. And of course, then showing it. So to move on to the next one, again, it's going to change over time in terms of the target market. Of course, the market is everybody could benefit from this. There's no doubt. Right now I think, who do you see the target market? I imagine it's high-end homes, but business is also important and interesting.
Yes, we see that offices are receiving this product very well, more than homes, because people in the office, they really care for giving a good sunlight, because people spend most of their time during the daytime in the office, and they want to take care of their employees and give a better sunlight, better focus, better concentration to them, because there is kind of a productivity attached to this light in the office. In the night, anyway, our light is not functional during the night, and people, most of the time they spend at their house is the night and the morning time. During the daytime,
so that's
like
what
this
our
is
light looks like in the office.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow.
So it almost
Wow.
gives the impression of sun. You have the picture of my office, Ish?
Yeah.
Actually, this is so experiential, Laura, that unless you come to India, you will not be able to really imagine this.
I'm happy to jump on a plane and come check it out. It's that's a very good insight, that people in general spend more time at work than they do at home. So the benefit of, during the pandemic, we were stuck at home, but as we go back to work, the idea of the light being much more critical at the office. That is, that's a super important, because
one more space, Laura, is going to be schools. Because they want, again, a better concentration, better focus for the students, for children.
Actually, application for this product, Laura, is quite so many places. But obviously, another application is car showrooms, for example, because they like to show their cars original real color as it is in the sunlight. So actually, they're already doing this in a much degraded and lower quality. But
even the fashion showrooms, when they have this yellow light, spotlights, the real colors of the clothings is not coming, and they want to show how it looks in the daytime, in the daylight, outdoor. And hospitals is a very big market also for this, because people, this is almost a healing light. They make you feel happy. They don't make you feel sad and gloomy. So the patients need to be in this kind of a lighting, that it is positive, hopeful. This gives a hope.
That's what we did with my father. We opened the window. That was a big thing to bring in sunlight. And actually, the they live in a high-rise condo on the 30th floor, and it's floor to floor to ceiling windows all the way around, which is really a wonderful experience. It can be very, very bright.
Yeah, but it's very positive feel to it. Yeah, that's very bright. But here the thing is, we can control that brightness also.
That is important. I mean, the ability to control the sun, to know, I mean, can the sun be too bright? I mean, that's a question.
And sorry, say it again.
Can you have too much sun?
Can we have too much sun? I think again, it's not about so much about sun. It's about the UV that it gives. So if it is too much, too heavy, like we go to the beaches and expose ourselves too much to the sun, that's not really good for the body.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, like, sometimes it is so bright out that you want, I wear sunglasses all the time outside. But I mean, is it as bright in your office as it would be outside? I mean,
No, it's
I
not
mean,
that bright.
That's very relative because your sun is obviously not
Of
as strong
course.
as our sun in India, but it's definitely not to the degree that it makes you uncomfortable, you're
Just like how
Yeah.
sun comes from a frosted glass, not from a clear glass, from a frosted glass. That's how it looks like in our case. इसमें room की दिखाओ ना,
दिखाया मैंने एक second.
मैं room की photo दिखाऊं.
Yeah, no, I can tell that from the photos, but that's another good insight, because again,
Yeah,
this
is
yeah.
my room, actual real photo.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's frosted glass. I'm trying to think how we actually describe that.
Nish,
Huh?
देखा नहीं उसने, वो नीचे देख रही this time. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
see
it's beautiful.
So this is the one, this is how it looks. This is on the left side is real window. On the
Right.
left, yeah, this one, and this one is the frosted glass lighting. So when anybody comes to this room, nobody can make out the difference.
No, I can imagine. But again, I think that would show you actually that the brightness of the real sun, if you were standing outside, because obviously the sun is very bright in India, you wouldn't necessarily want it that bright. It's the frosted is bringing down the brightness to there's got to be like an optimal level.
It's very soothing sunlight, like you have in a hotel. You have a courtyard kind of a feeling in the hotel. It's never too sharp light coming. It's always controlled. Sunlight also is quite controlled in these areas. Frosted sunlight.
Yeah. I like that. That's I mean, that too, that's something that can be visualized. And I like all of these different areas. I mean, retail in general, there's, nobody wants to buy clothing in those terrible, lighting if you look better. But again, I mean, I think, realizing that there's going to be multiple aspects of these, but what is the first one to target and the most important to show, or a couple of them. I think, offices, schools, and I don't know.
Office and school, they can get the same function, which is focus and concentration.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Because we were talking about the benefits. So if we go with the benefit story and we link the benefits and the area where we are targeting this, and if we are saying if the light which brings you more focus, then it has to be office and schools.
Yes, no, I agree. I mean, I think there's a very tangible, and as well, you can show with, productivity, that is something also that people can really quantify themselves. I mean, you can get the customer feedback if you put someone in an office that has traditional lighting for a day, and then you put them in an office with your lighting for a day. I'm sure they'll come back and, I mean, you could you could, lab test them on, what their reaction time is or something like this. But I think it's more the experiential aspect of it that people will, I think, very easily themselves that they do feel, in fact, better. And even if they are in front of the screen, I'm going to jump ahead because, I know this is not cheap, and, you've talked about that. And, when starting out, I think, at the high end, and you'll have to, work through what the pricing is of it, and we can talk later. But and we'll get to the name situation. I am curious, just in the last few minutes here, about some of the feedback that you've gotten. Clearly from the the FAQs are telling, right? Because I'm sure these are questions that you've had to answer. That they when they hear the name sunroof, they're thinking that it is some sort of skylight. What other what other you have this installed? How many other installations have you done so far, if any? I mean, I don't know.
So we have installed this so far for the marketing and exhibitions in our office and in our display center. And now we are going to be making our first installation in one private residence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what from your offices, or even, people obviously visiting your house, I think you've said that they must be quite amazed that it's.
Yes, everyone is absolutely amazed when they see. Nobody believes that this is not natural sunlight
until we turn it off.
I mean, unless we turn it off, nobody wants to really believe. I mean, they just doubt our integrity. No, you are telling it it's not possible. So from the realistic feeling, realistic experience of the sunlight point of view, we have cracked quite close to sunlight. Nobody feels that this is not a skylight, let's say. I want to give you the name of another company in America who is doing a similar product.
Okay.
Which is giving us, that's the only company on the whole planet, we and them. There are only two companies who are doing similar things, and which we also discovered about 2 weeks back.
Oh, okay. What's their name?
This is called Glasslight-ish.
Light glass, lighting.
Light glass, light glass, L-I-G.
Light glass.
Light glass, yeah.
If you want to go on the website, just go lightglasslighting.com.
Lightglasslighting.com.
Well, that's a terrible name, but
yeah, they are selling it like a panel, lighting panel. They are not selling it like a concept or like a solution, architectural solution. They are very flat product, just a panel, white panel.
oh, I see. Well, yeah. Well, and this, simulated skylights.
Yeah.
Which, does.
So one tagline which we had also thought for sunroof was, Laura, world's first intelligent skylights.
Well, yeah, but it's not, it's a simulated one, but it's, yeah, I mean, the intelligence is very good. And the well, this is a good, well, actually, so
I want to give you the feedback. We spoke to the founder of this company, and they in America have grown almost 500% in just 2 years. Wow. They've reached to about $20 million business in the second year.
Wow.
We can't believe the kind of success we have received with this product. And from our point of view, this is 20 times more expensive than what we are offering. 20 times.
20 times.
Yeah. Nahi Ish, kitna tha? They are selling for $400 per square feet. and ours is $50? No, less.
No, 70.
$70 per square feet. Ours is $70 per square feet. There is $400 per square feet. No, that much difference. Yes. नहीं 7 नहीं इश हमारा 70 क्यों है रिटेल में क्या
But panel is sorry.
$30 sorry ours is $30 per square feet 30
Yeah. And how is, are they just pricing theirs?
No, they're pricing it clearly because they are producing it all in America. They just have 8 people in the factory. So of course the cost of production is also very high. And with the same product, same lighting, same glasses, our cost of production in India is 10 times cheaper.
Wow. And does it have the same,
I think our effect is far, far better than that. Not just slightly better. Ours is really looking like sun. And we have designed it like a French windows, and our design has got a rafters underneath. So it really looks like skylight. It doesn't look like just the panels.
well, I was just wondering if theirs has the experience in terms of the intelligence to vary the light during the day, or is it just on off?
They have.
They do. Okay.
Yes.
And here's another question. So, and I think this is critical. So they have both windows and skylights. What? Yeah.
Windows.
What?
We will be in 1 year time. We will be also having our own windows. Yeah.
And so do you feel there is there a difference between windows and skylights? That's the question. Meaning the light coming through a window versus coming from above.
Yes, there's a big difference. That's why we have not launched it yet, because if you see the window, if you see just the white thing outside, it doesn't look natural. It looks unnatural. So that's why we are finding a technical solution to that, how it doesn't look like white light. Rather, it looks like there is something green outside or something,
That you could have a landscape. Well, no, I mean, I was actually thinking that maybe in some ways that maybe windows aren't good. Maybe not. Maybe the skylight is better than the side light, if you will.
Yes.
Always.
You feel so much better when the light is coming from the top and not from the side.
Yeah.
So rather than windows, Laura, what we were planning to introduce is high windows. So which are just running at, maybe you can't reach them. They're at 10 feet of height, but they run along your walls.
Yeah,
right. So I understand. Yeah.
When you see a window, you also have a hope to see something outside.
Yes, I know. Yeah, no, I don't like the window application. Actually, I think that's an unfocused. I think there's much more to be said for the light from the sky. And I understand, there's like a name for the windows, but they're just small around the edge of the ceiling, which basically, it's more, if you can't put it in the ceiling, that this is a way around to get as close as you can to ceiling lighting. I'm sure people are doing it as a addition or in case, but that's a real light, or is that yours?
That's a real one. Yes,
that's a real one. Yeah. But no, I know. Yeah, you have just a transition around the upper edge of the ceiling, so it's not in your line of sight, if you will. But I think that's actually, seeing this competitor is also helpful to just understand a little bit about how they're explaining it, and but as well to know that the sky part of it is incredibly important, I think, in terms of how it is brought to you. All right, well, this is a lot of good input information. What I'd like to do is, digest some of this. I'll come back to you maybe if I have some questions around it. I'm going to put together, some thoughts and reflections and ideas, as well as, you guys should be, out there. It's very helpful when you talk to people, just the questions or reactions that they have to it is always, make notes of that to help. Because I think, the other thing that I really like, is, this idea that it's so unbelievable. There's a product here. I can't believe it's not butter is actually the name of it, but the notion that it's unbelievable. I love that you have to turn it off to prove to them it's not real.
Yeah.
That to me is a fabulous demonstration of this product, because that is a huge ability of a selling point to put somebody in a room, have that light experience, and then turn it off. And there's I'm sure just an emotional reaction that particularly if it was in a dark room, that it is remarkable. Not always easy maybe to show online, but I think that we could probably get, the reaction of someone's face again, that the testimonials of this will be important. The last thing I'll leave you with, because I think this is something that you think about developing. You talked about, I do think offices, you've got this residential client, which I think will be helpful, but I would look for, it would be great to develop a partnership with some company that could be an early adopter, as well as provide a testing and testimonial type of experience that you give kind of a deal with to implement this and have them really be your star customer, if you will.
Like a Google Access.
Yes, exactly. A high-tech company would be fantastic. But it to put it in, and to have it, as well be something that, people could visit and they could provide the testimonials of it. And you would have, then, a place for the press to come to see it as well. I think, looking for one partner that would be interested in doing that, I think would be a really, really good goal, because I think that'll be tremendous. Not that you haven't thought of that,
That's
but
that's a very good feedback. We actually missed it. You're right. Actually, we have an access to Google Office Architect. Google is making 2 big offices in India.
oh, okay.
And we could actually meet them and provide them at a very low price or discounted price, just
Yes.
to give them, just as a marketing material for us right now.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, if you said, Google's office in India fully deployed this, and the feedback from that, I think, I would pick up that, phone, tomorrow, and see, and if it's not Google, then, there's other tech companies absolutely in India.
Apple office is also in the construction in Hyderabad in India. Yeah,
Oh.
we'll speak to the architects tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be great, because that, I think, again, it's the credibility.
Yes.
And then, having it be deployed will be, a huge bonus for your brand and everything. All right, so let's, I do have a bunch of, it's a kind of a busy 2 months here with what I've got going on. Let's see what today. I've got a client coming in next week. Got another client. Okay, so what do you think? Let's see what the next date I can do, we can do the November 28th is a Monday, because we have Thanksgiving here, so that's kind of a week. But if you wanted to meet on that day around this time, does that work?
Yeah, but do you think that this is too long for us? We'll miss the essence of what we have discussed so far in 3 weeks?
That's okay. Well, let me look. I've got to go to, I'm taking my son on a college trip next week. Yeah, well, we can, that's a good point. How about, can you do November 16th,
Yeah, that's better.
next Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, let's, I think that's a good point. Let's continue sort of this creative, collaborative flow of discussion of these ideas.
Yeah.
And then, we can come back, then in December and hopefully get some better direction in terms of, what the name is. But for you guys, take a look and, talk to, if there's a company, architecture you can get with, that would be fantastic. And, how we can understand again, these scores of the color and brightness of sun versus you guys, would be super, super helpful.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need the numbers, but just I feel good to know about what that kind of looks like and how we can kind of visualize that.
Okay.
Okay. And I will review the notes and thank you so much. Ish, you send me the link and we will see you on the 14th.
Yes. Thank you, Laura. Thanks.
Oh, no, not the 14th. I'll send you a link. Yeah, the 16th. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.